So, welcome back. My name is Mark Zimmerman. I'm the visiting artist virtually at Sanford today through the Sanford Arts program. So if you enjoy watching this video or you take home some of the drawings that result from these videos, make sure you thank the Sanford Arts folks. So what you caught me doing there was just rolling out a little bit of black ink on a sheet of plexiglass. I'm going to drop a piece of paper over the top of that and tape it down and do what's called an ink transfer drawing. So I'm going to draw and rub on the back of this paper and transfer ink to the front. I think actually I will do a landscape. And if I can find the pen that works, and that's not it. Let's do this one, yep. So the first thing I want to do is follow this tape with my pen. I'm going to poke it in that corner and drag it along the edge of the tape, and that tells me where the ink is at. It doesn't do me any good to draw out there in the border where there's no ink. Alright, and I'm looking at a photograph here of Red Butte, one of my all-time favorite places. It's up north of Buffalo, South Dakota, up in Hardin County. Sometimes I call Hardin County the last best corner. And I don't know how many times I've drawn or painted Red Butte, but a few. So what I'm doing is transferring ink to the front side. You can't see the front side. I can't see the front side. And Red Butte's going to turn out backwards too, because everything I draw on the back here transfers to the front and comes out backwards. So I am in fact drawing backwards. Something I've gotten incredibly used to. So I'm going to drop this fence in here too. Yeah, I think I have room for one more post right there. One of the things about an ink transfer drawing that you learn pretty quickly is that you're better off underdrawing things than overdrawing things. So I'm going to underdraw this fence line. And put in some darkness down in here. Just by touching the back of the paper, I transfer ink to the front. And now I want this little thing to be square, and I want it to be I want it to be where? I want it to be I'm going to put a moon in. I grew up in a square house on a square block in one of the square states. And so when I do landscapes, I end up putting squares in. So my moon is going to be a square. If you don't like square moons, you can try one without. There he is. So I just used a little template, and I'm going to use a I'm going to drop a line down through here too. And scribble. Scribble in the dark of night rising. Maybe that's the title of this thing, huh? Put in a little night breeze. Alright, let's take this, transfer some ink up in there. I want that to be pretty dark. Pretty dark. Pretty dark. Let's take a peek, see what I've got. Pick the tape up and take a peek underneath. You never know what happens underneath. Looks cool enough to watercolor anyway. What did I say the title might be? I think I'm going to put that in now before I forget. Kind of risky to sign them at this stage, but I think I'm going to risk it. You'll notice it comes out backwards. This little lump here is now over there. So I called it Dark of Night Rising, and let's drop some blue in here for the dark of night. And let that blue fade away in here. Whoa, it would be nice if I stayed sort of in the lines. Nice to make your mistakes right out of the gate. That way you get them behind you. Red butte, I think, is red sandstone, so we'll come back with some red. Paint that sandstone red. But for now, I'm going to put some red. I'm going to have a red moon. There was a partial eclipse last night, and part of the moon turned pretty red. That's just water, kind of dirty. I'm going to switch to a different blue out here, more of a turquoise. And I'm hoping that I can just touch this red and get it to bleed just a tiny bit into the turquoise. I want that turquoise to be pretty darn light. And there's a little bleed. So just touch that turquoise and let it bleed into that night sky. I'm not bleeding too much. If it bleeds too much, I can just pick it up. I like what it's doing so far. Just kind of keep one eye on what the bleeding looks like. That's bleeding, where the color is bleeding into another color. Subtle difference between that phthalo blue and the turquoise blue, but I like the difference. I think I could get it to bleed out the bottom here too if I just touched it a little bit. And that red and that blue make kind of a violet, and I'm liking that. So, yikes, that's a lot of red. Be nice if I'd done this before. Well, red butte's not that red. And come back in here with some brown and some, tone that down just a touch. And just hint that there's a little bit of green in that prairie. There we go. Red and green make a brown, which is just kind of what we're after here. Need a little dark down in here. And a little green in that dark, and then I think maybe we got it. Oh, I could mess with that all day, huh? Let's come back with a little bitty brush. There we go. And I've already signed it. That is The Dark of Night Rising. That scribble there says Zimmerman. My name again is Mark Zimmerman. And 2020. These are free for the taking, so if you would like this or another one that should be sitting somewhere around where you're watching this video, help yourself. And I hope you had fun watching. Bye-bye.